Hey everyone, it's Luna, and today I wanted to make a video about the science of the seven chakras. I know there are more than seven chakras. A lot of people like to talk about that. By the way, if you hear my fridge in the background, it's making some weird noises today and I can't get it to stop, but this is my only day to film and I really want to talk about this topic because it's so interesting. So just please ignore any background noise you may hear. So the chakras actually have some scientific and also psychological things that they match up with. A lot of people think chakras are just some woo-woo thing that people just made up. It's like, oh, okay, 7 energy centers of your body, like they have different colors of the rainbow. This hasn't been found in any anatomy. Like you can't just open an anatomy book and read about chakras. So what the heck is this? But this is actually a very ancient system that is mostly attributed to things like Hinduism and sometimes Buddhism as well. And Hinduism actually has a lot of ancient wisdom in it because it's the oldest religion that still exists, that people still are part of today. So, does that mean it's true? Not necessarily, but does it match up with some scientific stuff? Actually, yes. So the first thing, and I've talked about this in some of my TikToks before, is the 7 chakras match up with the endocrine system quite well. So the endocrine system is your body's way of producing hormones, and different organs in your endocrine system can do this. And as we all know, our hormones affect our mood in many, many different ways, and they also regulate a lot of things within our body. So many times when something's going wrong with our mental health, or just different ways that our body's feeling, if we're feeling off, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times it can have to do with our hormones. So this idea matches up a lot with the idea of our chakras being out of alignment, our chakras not being open, and things like that. And with the chakras, obviously, that does have to do more with our emotional state or psychological state and how we're doing mentally, that determines whether or not our chakras are open or not. But if you think about it, stress has so much to do with how pain or illness is expressed in our bodies. And so when it comes to the endocrine system, I'll just go from the top down. So things like the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland are considered usually part of the crown chakra. The pineal gland is the third eye chakra. And sometimes those get mixed around. People attribute different ones to different chakras that are in the head, but typically those are the 3. And then the thyroid gland is your throat chakra. The thymus gland, which is in the chest, is the heart chakra. The adrenal glands and the pancreas are your solar plexus, which has to do with power of will and things like that. The ovaries and the testes have to do with the sacral chakra, which is the chakra of creation and also sexuality. And lastly, there is a chakra that some people confuse the root chakra, the very bottom chakra, with just the male testes. They think that the testes are a different chakra than the ovaries. I disagree. I think that the testes are part of the sacral chakra because they have to do with that creation, that giving of life, and also metaphorically the creation of things that we put out into the world, mentally, emotionally, and things like that. So some people, like myself, believe that the root chakra actually isn't part of the endocrine system. It is part of your colon or your anus because several different reasons. It's your elimination system, and it has to do with survival more than anything else. It's a very functional thing and very physiological thing, whereas the rest of the chakras have to do more and more with emotions and mental state. So an interesting thing to note about the root chakra being attributed to the anus is that when we're just a little fetus that's forming in the womb, the first thing that forms on our body is our anus. We actually bloom out of our anus, which is so interesting. When I found that out, I couldn't believe it. It's one of the first things, at least, that forms on our body, if not the first. So it really is our root, and I think that's fascinating. So aside from the endocrine system, the chakra system actually matches with color psychology. So if you've never heard about color psychology before, each color that we see can affect our mood and our psychology and how we react to things emotionally. So, for example, the color red makes us feel more anxious sometimes. It can make us feel more lustful a lot of the time. It's very much a color of survival and also heightened emotion and even passion. It's not always a bad color, obviously, but since red is the color of blood, it sends signals to our brain of alert. So that's why red is attributed to the root chakra, because that's all about survival and getting what you need physiologically. And it also has to do with fighting and primal instincts. So then you have orange, for example, which is attributed to the sacral chakra, and that very much has to do with creativity. And in color psychology, it's pretty much the same. When it comes to the solar plexus chakra, that's yellow. And that has, like, the solar plexus is about power of will, but it's also about being social and like interacting with others and making connections and things like that. And yellow is very much a happy, social, very open, bright, cheery color. So as you can see, if you look more into color psychology, all of the chakras match up with how these different colors affect you. And obviously I have the graphic here that you can look at for that. And one thing I like to think about also is each color of the rainbow has a frequency. And these frequencies match up. And the frequency just means like vibration, and it's measurable, and it actually can match up with sound vibrations or sound frequencies. So each color matches up with a different musical note, which is super interesting. If you think about it, there's 7 main colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And then there's 7 main notes in a chord, so A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And of course, people say, well then, but it starts over again. And yeah, on a keyboard, like a piano keyboard, it does, but those are the main notes, A through G. And they match up with the colors, which is so, so cool. But the idea is that everything in the universe vibrates. Everything has a frequency, and these frequencies can interact with one another. Sound vibrations and light vibrations and other things match, or they can interact with one another, and they can affect one another. So different color frequencies can affect our own frequencies. It's very interesting. So also, in psychology, this is, I think, the biggest takeaway in looking at the chakras practically. So the chakras actually match up very much with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you've ever seen that little pyramid of things that a person needs in their life and the levels at which they need them. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes from a psychologist named Abraham Maslow, and he proposed this idea in 1943. So this is basically 5 psychological needs that everyone has and how they affect our behavior. And there's actually an extended Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I'll put up right here, that you can also look at, and it also matches up with the chakras. But for today, I'm just going over the main 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy so you can see how they match up with the chakras. So you may say, well, there's only 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy, not 7, but you will see that they do match up. And especially if you look at the extended one, which has 8, if you look at what's being talked about on each level, they do blend in with one another in a linear sequence. And they talk about the same things in that linear sequence as exists in the chakra system. So the first level is physiological needs. So air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. So the primal idea of reproduction is what it means. And of course, that is the root chakra. And then we have safety needs on the next level. And that has to do with personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Now, this can be attributed to the sacral chakra in the way that when we have an intimate relationship with someone, one could say that we have a lot of those safety needs. And we're able to have an emotionally intimate relationship where we could raise children and give them what they need safety-wise. The next level up from that is love and belonging. This obviously has to do with the solar plexus chakra. It could also be partially the heart chakra. But when it comes to social things, friendship, intimacy, meaning all types of intimacy, not just, romantic kind, family, and sense of connection, that is very, very much the solar plexus chakra. And the solar plexus has to do with power of will. So you're seeing how you affect other people and how other people affect you, and you kind of are seeing yourself within a community. Very much solar plexus. So the next one is esteem, and this one would match up with the heart chakra. So this one is respect, self-esteem, status recognition, strength, and freedom. All of those have to do with things that have to do with the heart chakra, which is love and compassion, empathy, and treating others the way that you would like to be treated. So lastly, self-actualization can match up with the top 3 chakras. So there we have, in the self-actualization category, we have desire to become the most that one can be. And in the extended version, it also has one above that called transcendence, where it says need for helping others to self-actuate. So in this level, we have the throat chakra, which is about speaking truth and expressing yourself. Self-expression is very important in this. And then we have the third eye chakra, which sees through illusion and seeks truth. And then you have the crown chakra, which is about your spiritual connection and realizing your oneness with the divine and transcending above physical existence in order to realize the consciousness that connects everything and that you're a part of and that you are. So I think that definitely matches up with self-actualization. So while we can't just x-ray somebody and say, oh, here are the 7 chakras, we can attribute them as symbols to things like the endocrine system, having to do with color psychology. And so when we see different colors, they affect different chakras within our body, or they affect us energetically, and can even, affect our endocrine system, which creates different hormones and makes different moods. And also, we can attribute it to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where psychologically we have different needs in our life that have varying levels. And they affect us in different mental and emotional ways. In fact, the chakra system is not the only system within spirituality that has to do with this hierarchy of needs type of setup. So there's also the Kabbalistic tree of life, which does match very much with the chakra system. Not 100%, but it does tend to match up. And that's a much more complicated system. The tree of life is a much more complicated way of laying out these, like our most primal basic needs, and then working our way up this ladder, so to speak, of transcendence. And it's interesting how different cultures and spiritual systems have this idea, because it's so true even within psychology. And this just goes to show that within spirituality, we may call certain things woo-woo because we don't really understand it. We don't understand the history or the intentions when these systems were first created. But it goes to show that the people who created things like the chakra system and the Kabbalistic tree of life, they were very wise people that knew a lot about psychology, about the body, about the brain, about so much of how we human beings work in a time when we kind of look back. You know, we have this way of looking back at people in history like they were dumb. They all thought the earth was flat and blah, blah, blah. But not everyone did. There were people who were extremely intelligent, and they had different ways of conveying this information to people than we do now. And a lot of times it was in an esoteric way, or a way that they figured, well, more people would be able to understand if we just said there were 4 spinning wheels of energy within your body that have different colors and have different emotional meanings, rather than explaining this whole idea of a hierarchy of needs and an endocrine system with hormones, because people don't know what that is yet. And, you know, it's more like they were trying to give people an exoteric or very minimalist explanation of something with more symbolism in it that was easier for them to understand, rather than explaining things in the complicated way. Is that the ideal way to teach someone something? No, but it is fascinating at how much information can be hidden within symbolism. So that's just one example of many that I hope to talk about on this channel, of different woo-woo ideas that actually have a lot of science and history and psychology behind them. And yeah, the chakras are great. You should open them sometime. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this topic and you like spirituality and things like that, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell, because a lot of people don't get their notifications these days. So hitting the bell will ensure that you know when one of my new videos is going up. And be sure and leave a comment if you've made it this far in the video with the secret word of the day, which is wheel. So thanks for watching. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.